Okay, so I kind of want to go ahead and get back into covering more Spawn comics. Now, with that being said, it has been a good minute since we last sat down and covered Spawn comics on the channel. And for a while there, we were covering a lot of Spawn. I mean, a lot of Spawn. And then we technically just stopped. And so for me personally, I kind of want to go ahead and get back into covering more Spawn comics on the channel. Now, with that being said, I also want to kind of do some more lengthy videos. And the reason why, because I realize that you guys truly do love my longer videos rather than my shorter videos. Now, there are some story arcs out there where unfortunately I can't turn story arcs into super long videos, so they might only come out to be 10 or 15 minutes, but there's still some story arcs where I'm going to try to cover the whole entire story arc in one video, which honestly works out for you guys because you guys do love my longer videos. And matter of fact, when we cover the Wolverine storyline, whereas Wolverine marrying Madam Hydra or Viper, you guys love the length of that video a lot. But anyways, getting back into Spawn comics, we're going to sit down and start the video off with Spawn issue number 93. And so as we get into the opening pages for Spawn issue number 93, the opening pages for me personally does a great job in reminding us like where we're at right now when it comes to Spawn. Because for Spawn, he kind of realized that he's no longer trying to work for heaven, nor longer trying to work for hell either. And he is a hell Spawn, but he kind of realized he has the idea of being a puppet for some kind of war between two different groups. And so for Spawn at the moment, his main goal right now is to kind of give out his own brand of justice. Now, in the opening pages of the storyline, we're seeing Spawn talk to the ghost version of his older self, what he used to be when he was alive. And so for the older version, it's kind of him pointing out that Spawn is beginning to lose his way possibly, or beginning to change into the person that's no longer the person he used to be in the past. Now, the rest of issue number 93 doesn't really focus on the idea of Spawn beginning to change as a person, but really more giving us another example of Spawn giving out his own brand of justice. But this now leads us over to England, where we do pick up at this fancy dinner party. Now, we do see this organization coming together to celebrate the idea of like how far their organization has gone. But apparently they had some drama a month ago thanks to one of their members who's no longer around, and that would be Helena. Now, the backstory of this organization become clear to us here in a moment, but also Helena does play a somewhat important role for the backstory of this organization. But while you do have the fancy dinner going on, it's now time to do the drawing. Now, we see each member at this dinner draw out a piece of paper, but the last one, Reginald, he pulls out a piece of paper that has an X on it, which basically means he is the chosen one. Now, for him, he begins to freak out because he knows what the X means if he is the chosen one. That means he's been chosen to be killed off next. So he's told like, hey, you know what? Go ahead and enjoy your last meal, but after that, go out there and run for your life because then it's now time for us to hunt you down and kill you. And so you do have Reginald go out of his way to try to run for his life. Now, the other members of this organization, they're trying their best to find him, to basically kill him. Now, when it comes to Reginald, he begins to kind of give us the backstory of this organization. Like, for example, originally you had 13 members of this group. The other 6 were killed off and most likely eaten by the other 7. Helena was one of the 6. Now, when it comes to Helena, she brought him into this organization. And of course, Marcus is the one in charge. Now, here comes the big problem though. You see, when Helena was killed off by the organization and eaten by them, because once you had the organization kill off Helena, you didn't have police begin to try to figure out what exactly happened to her because she technically just disappeared. And so her family was concerned. Now for Reginald, he had the ability to kind of go ahead and tell police what's going on with the organization as a way to get out of it. But he kind of believed the entire time that he would not be chosen. Unfortunately, now he has been chosen. And so when it comes to Reginald here, he's right now trying his best to run for his life. Now, he is confronted by Marcus. Remember, Marcus is the leader of the organization. And so for Marcus, he's kind of like, hey, buddy, I found you, and now it's time to kill you. And so we do see Marcus get a good few stabs in when it comes to Reginald, but you didn't have me able to fight Marcus away and run away. Now, while he's trying to run away a second time, but now bleeding out, he then runs into Spawn. Now, when he does run into Spawn, this is pretty huge. And the reason why, because for Spawn, he wants to know what in the you know what is going on here. And so you do have Reginald explain things to Spawn like, okay, let me tell you what's exactly going on here when it comes to this organization. You see, for Marcus, he kind of felt like the Great Web was missing something. And let me explain. You see, for Marcus, he kind of felt like there was this void in the Great Web. You have heaven, hell, and other things that are part of it. But for Marcus, something was still missing. And he kind of felt like it was up to him to fill in that void. So what he did was he created this organization of 13 people because his main goal now was to bring in a creature known as the Urizen to kind of fill in that great void. Here's the problem though. He realized that kind of creature would need some kind of powerful vessel. So what do? Well, you then have your organization begin to eat one another. And the reason why, because as you eat somebody else, you're apparently eating their soul, eating part of them. And then once it gets down to that one person had officially eaten at least 12 other people. But that point right there, the vessel should be strong enough to be a strong vessel for this creature to help fill in the Great Web Void. Now for Spawn, he does get ticked off here because it's kind of like, how dare you guys try to bring more evil into this world? And so you have Spawn get very upset by it. But when it comes to Reginald, while he does try to run away, he trips and falls and hit his head on a rock. Now, of course, he does also seem like he snapped his neck, but also he got stabbed earlier. So the dude is going to die right here and there. But for Spawn, this works out for his plan because you do have Marcus in the other find the dead body of Reginald and begin the process of eating his dead body. But here comes the big catch. As they're trying to eat his dead body, they're also slowly killing themselves because Spawn made sure that whatever goes inside of them, whatever part of his body goes inside of them, will then kill them off from the inside out. And then the house is set on fire. And so for Spawn, he made sure that that creature they were trying to bring into the world will never come into the world at all. And if it does, unfortunately, they'll never see witness to that creature being brought into the world. But now we move on to Spawn issue number 94. And now we're picking up with Wanda and also Cyan as well. Now remember guys, Wanda is Spawn's ex-wife. After he had passed on, she moved on and got married to his best friend, and that would be Terry. And they had a daughter together, and that would be Cyan. But either way, when it comes to Cyan, she has been experiencing some dark things in the past few story arcs, but also she's been having some nightmares as well. And so for Wanda, she wants to make sure that Cyan is okay. And so she took the child over to a psychologist. Now, for the psychologist, she wants to understand what's going on in Cyan's mind by looking at different pictures. And at first, the first couple of photos that Cyan had drawn, they look very normal, right? You know, a picture of her family, things like that. But in the last photo, it's a photo of Spawn. And so for psychologists, she wants to understand, like, who is this person that you have drawn? And she says, that's my friend. And for a psychologist, she wants to know more of this friend who looks very interesting, but at the same time, creepy. And so you do have her inform Wanda, like, listen, I think there is something going on with your daughter, and I would love the idea of being able to see her a few more times to kind of understand what's going on in her mind. Now, in the next section, we kind of learn here that for Terry, he does not really love the idea of his daughter seeing a psychologist. And for him at first, it does seem like the main reason why money, because Wanda is no longer working and they're barely making it well either. But on top of that, the insurance is not going to cover all these different visits. We also kind of get the idea that for Terry, he hates the idea of his child seeing a psychologist because it might label her. Now, let me explain. There are some parents out there who kind of hate the idea of their child being labeled as special because it looks negative in their eyes in a way. But sometimes those kids need that extra help in some kind of way. And so when it comes to Terry, it does seem like to me personally, he's one of those people. But either way, between him and Wanda, they do not agree at all and they begin to argue. And so for Terry, he just walks out and leave. And for Wanda, she wants him to stay, but for Terry, he needs his space, supposedly. But then we kind of learn here that for Cyan, it's not really her having nightmares, that technically she's being confronted by different creatures who are trying to come after her as a way to get the spawn. And let me explain, because we do see that for Cyan, when she does wake up, she is confronted by Mammon and also Violator, two villains of Spawn who are right now trying their best to come after him. And so you see her begin to freak out and try to run away, but they also try to chase after her. Now, luckily for her, you do have Spawn appear as a way to protect her from these enemies. But now we know why she's so scared, because lately she has been terrorized by these two guys who are trying their best to get to Spawn. But you have this issue end on the note where the next following day comes, right? And you have the family try their best to continue to be a supposed normal family. But for Wanda, she gets a call. And when the call is going, she can't believe what she's hearing on the phone. And so she has to inform Terry what's going on with her. Well, we kind of find out that for Wanda, she's pregnant again. And for Terry, he can't believe what he just heard.